It's Sweetie C, yo, it's Sweetie C. What's up? How you doing today? Welcome to our channel, Black and White Allies. I'm Black, I'm Sweetie C, and this is...
John Strader.
He's a white guy.
Yes, I am.
How you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Great. How was your holidays?
I worked. That's my job.
Did they serve
Outside
any
here.
food?
No.
They
No.
didn't?
No, that's okay.
Oh.
Did you have a good holiday? Did you have lots of food?
I had a nice holiday. I kind of spent it solo.
Okay. Did you have any Christmas food?
Yes.
What was your favorite?
Um,
What was the one thing you went, oh man, I gotta have some more of that?
Turkey.
Okay. I'm not a big turkey person. Turkey sandwiches, but I like sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes is my thing.
So you like the sweet potato casserole type of dish?
That and pie and, I love getting sweet potato fries. I don't like regular fries.
I like to mix them. Like
Do
I
you
will
really?
fix I'll fix regular French fries
Okay.
and then fix sweet potato pie. Sweet potato pies. Sweet potato fries and add salt and pepper, and it's actually really good together.
Cool. I'm going to have to look into that.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we haven't been on the show for approximately 2 weeks.
I know.
Such a long time. It
It
seems like because a
is.
lot has happened within 2 weeks. Every time I say that every time, but it's true. A lot has happened within 2 weeks. So if you're listening to the show, you're more than welcome to call in at
Please.
203-802-KMWI. Today we will be discussing Trump's impeachment.
Yes.
And I'm going to start with, just providing y'all with a definition of what is an impeachment. An impeachment is the action of calling into question the integrity or validity of something.
Okay.
So that's what impeachment is. Now, what we're actually doing with Trump is a process by which a legislative body levels charges against a government official. So basically, the impeachment is just exposing or just presenting evidence regarding the corrupt or whatever's issue. I would say whatever. How would I put that? How would you put that?
Well, the whole impeachment thing is over his abuse of power.
I mean, it's over his abuse of power, but in general, basically, for a sitting president to go through impeachment, they would have to have done something that has affected not just the Constitution, but just overall office or any illegal activity.
And the illegal activity is his relationship with Vladimir Putin, with Russia, the whole Ukraine situation, how he tried to get Ukraine to dig up information on Joe Biden's son.
Is that how you say it? I'm
What?
sorry.
What?
Ukraine or Ukraine?
Did I say it wrong?
I don't know. Did I say it wrong? Is it Ukraine or Ukraine?
Ukraine.
Oh, okay. I like that though. I'm sorry.
It's like tomato, I think.
Yeah, Ukraine.
Right. You say Ukraine, and I'll say Ukraine.
Or you say Ukraine, I say Ukraine.
Okay. Women are always right. My mom taught me that. One thing I need to teach you, John, is that women are always right. Don't argue with them.
Even when you're wrong.
Even when they're wrong. Thanks, Kenny. But, yeah.
So basically, impeachment in general, what causes a president to even be considered to even, for example, Clinton. Clinton was impeached because of his activities within the Oval Office.
Right.
So it's basically illegal activity. If he did those actions outside the Oval Office and in a hotel, could he still be impeached for it?
I don't think so, because it happened, like we said, outside of the Oval Office. It was in a private setting in a hotel. I mean, unless, I don't know, again, maybe there's certain guidelines as far as the president committing adultery. But then when I say that, my immediate thought goes to John F. Kennedy, and he was in different types of sexual affairs. Marilyn Monroe, for example, So, no, I think it's because it happened within the White House.
So, if I could jump in.
You bet.
It's almost like a police officer who was in Texas goes to Oklahoma and commits a crime. He can still get arrested. He can still get removed from his job, fired from his job, just for being a police officer. So as president, the standard is even higher. So he can be outside the country and commit that type of act, not necessarily having an affair, but he can still be impeached if Congress sees that as he abused power. It could be a lot of those things. I think that's what Clinton was, one of his articles was an abuse of power. And then his was covering. His is perjury and covering up, now I think about it. Okay. So yeah, he can be impeached. It's up to Congress.
For, even if it happened at a hotel?
Anywhere that he
stands,
because he's in a bubble, you know what I'm saying? So no matter where he is, he can be on Air Force One.
Okay, because, come to think of it, when I was in the military, that, petty officers or, enlisted they can receive a captain's mass and being thrown out of the military for committing adultery.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. He actually can be impeached, because I know he had other women since he was president. He can actually be impeached if Congress decides to move on.
And I guess no evidence was ever brought up about John F. Kennedy with Marilyn Monroe until after.
Well, she died. So
right.
It kind of went away.
Right.
Yeah. Actually, not just him. His brother, too. Remember? Robert.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't Teddy Kennedy also involved?
But he the one that had the Chappaquiddick thing at the lake.
Right,
okay. He had a woman he was married, and the woman died, and he didn't report it, so like a day and a half later.
So basically all our presidents should have been impeached.
Or political people thrown out of office, right. Exactly. Even Arnold Schwarzenegger. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay? Getting his maid pregnant and having a kid.
Yeah, so that's basically where I was going with, like, what is the reason for a president to get impeached? So now that we've basically identified that a president can be impeached basically based off abuse of power or just illegal activity,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Misuse of funds. With all those.
It doesn't have to be a crime, too. I just realized that.
Say what?
It doesn't have to be a crime. It does not have to be a crime.
It doesn't have to be a crime. So,
No.
what is not a crime?
Adultery.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not a crime.
Oh, okay, so it's not a crime. It's a crime in the household,
right,
but it's not a crime legally.
It's a moral crime in the mind of
his wife, but,
right.
So actually, Clinton didn't commit that crime. What got him in trouble was perjury. He lied.
Right, he lied about it.
And that was the big one. So then the other one was the fact that, he lied.
So
here's a president that's really lied, though.
That's my whole point. So
Trump.
like,
I mean, talk about lies. This man's just full of them. I mean, here's the thing. Trump makes 99 false claims in 2 weeks.
well, in defense of Trump's, and this is sad coming from me, but in defense of Trump, some of his claims aren't false. He just bringing. He just emphasizes it on somebody else as the reason why it's okay for him to do it.
Okay.
Like he'll say, "Oh, well, y'all been doing this. So why are you talking to me now? Y'all been paying these countries. Y'all been interfering in other people's elections.
True.
So why are you mad about me interfering in other people's elections?" So he has a way of.
Because he messed up his credibility with everybody. So now we're all against you because you're just an asshole.
But his credibility is based off of the United States' government. It's based off of our history. Like he went to a nice school. Didn't he go to a university?
Yeah, he got a good degree.
All right, he went to university. He's been a boss for how many years?
Too long.
So he's been in circles with corporations. He's been in political service circles. He's in a circle with the Republican Party. So where is he getting this information from?
Okay, that question is, I can answer from me, a citizen perspective, but that question should be drawn back to him and his people. Now, his perspective is his perspective. We all have our own, right? But if you're in that position, so you're held at a higher standard than you and I.
Mm-hmm.
So the expectation is for you to be beyond reproach. That comes with the job, right? Because you are the law, you represent all this other stuff that America is.
And I think he thinks that because he's president of the United States, that he is above the law and that he can do anything he wants because he's the president.
Well, he didn't get that way by himself. He has a whole administration that is
and I think his father probably taught him a little bit of that too.
Encouraging him to do that. And he has a whole Fox network that is perpetuating his lies.
Man.
He has other stations, so you can't just and he was raised like this. He said this how many years ago?
Right. Well, his father was a member of the KKK.
No, what I'm saying is it's interesting to me how Trump is getting, I throw criticism towards Trump, but really we need to criticize our own democracy, because how could you allow this man to get this far up in the chain?
Sure.
He made a choice, just like we all make a choice if we commit a crime or not. We choose not to commit a crime, or we choose to. Trump had a choice. He had more choices than you and I have had. He had better choices.
He had moral choices. That's true. I mean, he could have gone one way, or he could have gone against
we knew
the direction
was
that
out there. There was
right.
dirt, America was doing some crazy stuff. But if you choose to go in that direction,
I don't really think he chose. I think he was really trained and taught to believe these things. I think he was raised to believe. I really feel like Trump somewhat believes this mess, like this conspiracy stuff. Because the way he's going after Joe Biden is he is that man did it.
He's going
after I think Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump knows how to mind manipulate the American people.
Exactly.
Some American people.
So my president is Nancy Pelosi. I don't care. She's my president.
Hold up now.
Why Nancy Pelosi?
Why not? Why not?
Nancy Pelosi is a
woman who knows her stuff.
Nancy Pelosi allowed a lot of this to occur too. What are you doing to let me put Nancy Pelosi, the Democratic Party. You knew all this was, there's racism out there. There's these cults out there. There's these racist groups. I mean, I don't know how many years they have been identifying how many racist cults are even here in Texas.
84. 74 of them are white racist groups.
And so you being aware of this, why haven't you really address those issues? What is your black agenda? Why haven't you?
Exactly.
Why are you allowing these corrupt politicians and these corrupt organizations and these corrupt corporations to get so far where they can just pay politicians to do whatever it is that they want them to do? You knew this. I mean, news outlets were reporting this. So news outlets is aware. How is the U.S. government not aware that this information, was coming?
Sure, they're aware. And why was it allowed to put a president in office who has done nothing but spread white racist hate messages?
Because it is in their party too. It's within the Democratic Party too. Racist individuals are allowed to escape through within the Democratic Party.
You bet.
And you're not going to have any type of change if you don't address these issues. You can't just point your finger at the Republican Party, but you don't address the Democratic Party. Basically, that's what I'm coming to. It's Trump is making, I may not agree with him, but he is bringing out he's calling out the Democrats, basically. He's calling out the Democrats. Okay, you're faulting me for this, but what are you doing within your own party regarding these issues?
and I am neither Democratic or Republican. Okay, I don't support either one of the parties because I think both are extremely corrupt. But what do you do? I mean, who do you elect then? If you don't elect a Democrat because they're just as bad as the Republicans, who do you elect?
Well, I personally wouldn't say we don't elect. We still got to pick the lesser of the two, to me. You know what I mean? I mean, if we're in a democracy, if we want to have a democracy, I feel like a democracy is important versus a dictator type ship environment. I definitely don't want to be a dictatorship. But even within a democracy, when other groups are bringing attention to issues that are hurting their communities, majority of white people need to stop trying to find a way to excuse the behavior and to start really addressing the people who are committing those behaviors, those individuals who are allowing these behaviors to occur.
Right. I think the whole issue of Black Lives Matters, I mean, that is what has gone on recently with that. I mean, it's just kind of like faded away. And it's like there were white ally activists that were getting involved in those groups, but now it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's like we're being sidetracked with other things like the impeachment and stuff like that. It's like those issues are not being addressed still.
Well, with Black Lives Matter, it is an organization, for the Black community, because we were having a lot of people within our community were just dying or being killed for no reason.
No reason.
I mean, you have cops killing us, you have pedestrians killing us, it's just so much is going on. But the point is, what happened is, as that momentum was growing, other groups outside of the Black community felt like, oh, my lives matter too. Then white people say, what about my lives? And then became like, no, all lives matter. And then it's like, and what people don't realize is that there's a lot of people, and this is what I feel like we're not consistent within it. We're not together. We don't have any unity within the Black community in reference to this. Is having organizations that are specifically for and by Black people.
Okay.
If it's a Black Lives Matter movement, everybody involved in that movement has to be, and I won't say everyone involved, but I would say the people in charge of the movement needs to be Black.
I agree, but I think whites and other races need to get involved to help support it.
Right.
Okay.
They need to come support it.
And come against all these others. There's a friend of mine that lives up in Illinois, Cassie Dyer, and a big shout out to her, because she supports a lot of what goes on with blacks and blacks, being profiled and come against. But she said there was an organization that's been going on up in Chicago called Blue Lives Matter, which is a cops organization. And we were talking on the phone, this was several months ago, but she brought up the fact that, that here's this whole Blue Lives Matter organization, feeling sorry for police officers. Well, you know what? A police officer can go home and he can take off his blue uniform, okay? A Black person cannot go home and take off the color of their skin.
Right. Exactly. But you see how they have the spin-off? It's like, it was Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, All Lives Matter. It's taken away from what the purpose of the organization is for. And they took it and they said, oh, this is they identified Black Lives Matter as a what do they call this? What type of group are we? What type of group when they like Louis Farrakhan, when they like to point him as a
Radical?
Yeah, like a radical.
Okay, radical. Like the Black Panthers.
Yeah, they turned Black Lives Matter, and they attempted to turn Black Lives Matter into a radical movement versus the purpose of the fact of bringing awareness to the injustices that are occurring within our lives.
Well, that's when you need more and more individuals that are Black to step up and come against those types of comments or labels and say, no, we're not a radical group. We're a group that's saying, hey, we're being treated unfairly. It's almost like Colin Kaepernick. Everybody thinks Colin Kaepernick has gone away. He hasn't. He continues to express his voice. He still continues to express his opinions on the whole judicial system in America. And he will not be silent. He will continue to speak out. And that's what needs to continue to happen with Black Lives Matter, is this group needs to continue speaking out, not die off and go, okay, well, people think we're radical or whatever. And
it's not that you die off, but when you have these big media like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News telling their people that Black Lives Matter is a radical movement.
I know.
They will start attacking the movement and finding ways to deconstruct it. Find ways to justify why it shouldn't be, why it doesn't matter.
Well, and again, that's another problem here in America is the mainstream media. Again, it's predominantly a white media. It doesn't, promote news or tell news in regards to things happening within the black communities. It's mostly things that are happening, as far as the white Caucasian culture in this country. And that needs to be ratified. That we need to have more media outlets that are black related, talking about issues that are happening with blacks and black communities.
Right. We definitely need to have that, but we just need to have more black owned stuff, We need to have more black owned stuff, but at the same time, when we are bringing attention to these issues within our community, we need to stop attacking each other versus having a conversation about it.
Right.
Because, like I said, a lot of black people, even with the Black Lives Matter, they started talking, oh, all lives matter. We need to care about these people. No. Just because you're focusing on your own particular group does not mean that you are racist against white people.
Exactly.
You are racist against Spanish people.
Because you're focused on bringing out issues that need to be looked at. 400 years, okay? Whites don't have 400 years of oppression, 400 years of being segregated, 400 years of being, told, well, no, you can't go to this white kid's school because, you're just really, you're born uneducated, so you have to go to an all black school because you're all a bunch of uneducated people. That's gotta stop.
Well, actually, I think a lot of black people would like to go to an all
but
black.
You understand what I'm saying.
I know, but I just had to clarify that. And it's not because it's anything with white people. It's just that there are some white people who just feel like they should be at a higher, they are better than others, and they look down on other people.
Because what Black Lives Matters is saying is you have prejudiced yourself against me because of the color of my skin, saying that I can't do certain things, I can't own properties, I can't own businesses or banks or go to Yale or Harvard because I'm black. Black Lives Matters is an organization and a thing that says, hey, that's not true. There are so many, and it's coming out more and more. Well, what happened a few weeks ago? 4 different black women became Miss Universe, Miss America, Miss Teen USA. Okay, blacks are showing more and more and more every day that not only do they fit into society as part of the human race, but they excel in many aspects of what's going on in humanity. Doctors, lawyers, shoot, your best athletes are blacks. I was watching a thing on Major League Baseball channel the other day, because I'm a big baseball person. I grew up loving the sport of baseball. And they showed this thing on the Negro Leagues, okay, back in, what was that, the 40s or the 50s, okay? And how it was all black, okay, all black players. that were even doing better than the white Major League Baseball players at the time, like Satchel Paige, okay, and how they were drawing thousands, like 50,000 fans to a game back then to watch the Negro Leagues. And it's just, it's too bad and it's too sad that blacks and the African American culture, the African culture has had to struggle so hard to prove how good they are.
You know, I think the struggle was good for us.
Oh, I agree. It's been good.
I'm
not going to say it hasn't been good. It's just too bad that you've had to struggle so much.
And you know something, there were a lot of people, I'm not taking anything because our struggle was bad and it still exists. What I think, if I can just chime in for a second.
Sure.
What I think is bad because I look at during slavery, white folks suffered too, just not in the same way.
Okay, you're going to have to let me know about that one.
Well, theirs is when we came out of slavery. Their struggle started when we came out of slavery. Because I think I mentioned, I don't know if it was on a show or in a previous conversation, where in the South, because slavery only existed in the South. They was trying to go westward with it, but of course the Civil War kind of prevented that. In the South, these folks who were holding, remember I told you, I said the illiteracy rate was like 78%
right.
amongst those in the
Right.
South who worked for the slave masters, which is around less than 4% of those who owned slaves. So everybody else was, they treated black people, they didn't know any better. Black people were second, third class citizens. They treated them like cattle. Cattle was treated better. So now all of a sudden, under the 13th Amendment, where now slavery is completely abolished across the entire land, right? These same people who enslaved these people, now you got to share a restaurant, a bathroom, a school.
It's called humanity.
But for them, who has been, it's talking about generations of being passed down through whites as well, had to adapt to this huge paradigm. A lot of them committed suicide. A lot of them just did stupid crimes because now, if you slap a black person, you can go to jail. And before you didn't have to. So that was, theirs was more gradual too. It was more gradual. But that's when they came up with Jim Crow in 1878.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then the Plessy versus Ferguson, all that other stuff that took place, which is the birth of, you know.
Well, they came over, but they didn't actually, people were still affected.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
you could say slavery ended, but we were still affected
Absolutely.
by slavery. So slavery didn't just end just because
you're right.
It didn't end. It
just changed the
continued.
form.
And as far as the struggle, I don't know. I would have to disagree. Our struggle is really affecting our community. It's affecting our lives, and it's really unnecessary. The amount of struggle. There's a struggle. Me struggling now, like trying to find a job, getting dressed, or finding clothes, or just having that's a struggle.
And
but their struggle was like they got beat, raped. I don't know if that's
and let me just intercede this thought, okay? It was still a choice on the behalf of people that are white people, okay, to make that choice of doing that wrong and causing black people to struggle. Just like it's Donald Trump's choice to put the nation in the kind of position that it is currently in, okay? It came down to a choice. White European settlers didn't need to go over to Africa and steal Africans to come all the way over here to build their land for them. Okay, what was the matter with white people? You know, they could have made this country strong if they had wanted to. No, they wanted to use and abuse another race.
Yep, that's so true.
All comes down to a choice. Just like, if I choose to walk across a busy street out here out front.
And you say it comes down to choice, but is it really a choice? Is it
Yes.
institution? Is it taught? I still feel
Well,
like
it's taught.
It's taught, and to me, when it's taught and when you're steadily, it's like saying, if you're being told this apple is good for you, this apple is good for you, this apple is good for you, you're going to naturally choose to take a bite of this apple because you were trained to know that it was good for you.
But you can be told something contrary and be taught that too.
Exactly.
And you choose and stay with your original.
I agree.
Just as I was brought up and taught that being racist and treating a black person like they were inferior, like they were not human, I was taught those things.
But
I'm not going to lie, but you know what? Something else came along and taught me different.
when did it come along?
That's good, John. That's really good. I know you're going with that.
When did that epiphany come? When did that come along?
I'm going to see over the last 10 years.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So, which is good. It's good, but when you also, if you're being raised this way, and a lot of people realize early on, like, this is not the way to think. Yes, and they choose to learn more, but there's still a huge amount of people that aren't able to recognize that this is really a choice. Like, these people aren't really as bad as everyone says they are. These people aren't really doing the things that everyone says they're doing. I mean, granted, they do things, but if you look at our own community, within, like, I'm speaking, if white people looking within their own community, they have enough people within their own community that's doing weird things. You know what I'm saying? So
who was that guy who was down in LA? They called him the I think it was the LA Strangler or something like that. Bundy, a white person that killed all those women. You know, if you look at the mass shootings that have happened in this country, a majority of the mass shootings are done by white people. That guy in Las Vegas that killed 59 concert goers at a country concert, you know, from a high-rise hotel in Las Vegas, was white.
Right. So so we all have groups. We all part of, you know, every group has its plus and minuses. The point is, collectively as a whole, we shouldn't just say, oh, one group shouldn't do this, but then allow another group to do it.
Right. I agree with that.
And vice versa.
Sure.
So there needs to be some type of balance across the system so it's effective. It's not an effective process. If you don't impeach Trump for his actions that he's doing right now, and honestly, I think for me, I will, even though I don't agree with a lot of, I'm not yay Nancy Pelosi all the time, but in this situation, I have to give props to Nancy Pelosi for having a backbone and actually holding the impeachment trial up without having confirmation of what the rules are.
Sure.
That is what I expect for Nancy Pelosi to do. But as you can see, look how far we've gotten with her. Like, it's like, Nancy Pelosi, I can give you kudos on this, but then you went ahead and gave money to the military on Trump's behalf, and you gave him more money than what was necessary.
Right.
And it's like, why would you do that? And so it's one of those things where, you know, you can be supportive of individual while giving them criticism, while expressing how some of the things you don't really agree with. So in that situation, when it comes to Nancy Pelosi, yes, I'm finally you're doing something, but to me, it's taking so long for you to do something. I feel like there's other things that you could have done to really put a hold on Trump in this administration.
I know it's almost like taking a stand for something, but not fully expressing
Or
how you feel, because it's almost like she's afraid to step here or step there because of her own political
alignments.
Well, right.
And it's true. Nancy Pelosi has a political alignment with corporations and PACs too. So there are reasons why she's walking a fine line with certain things.
So she doesn't step on their toes, so they take away stuff that she's getting from these companies.
So, but I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's hard as a citizen, as a regular citizen. I cannot go and steal a piece of gum from Walmart without being locked up and having my record ruined.
Exactly.
So why in the world am I giving justification for these individuals just because they're in office?
Because they're a politician?
Because they're a politician?
Right. Because they're the president of the United States of America?
Why? If you are breaking the laws, and then what is going to keep me from breaking the law? You're
going to get thrown in jail.
Only because of my skin color.
Right.
So I just need to get a white person to break it for me.
Well, that's not true either. Can I tell you the truth? I'd be in jail too. Okay.
No, you wouldn't.
Yes, I would.
They are setting y'all free right now.
Oh,
They are
come
giving.
on.
They are giving y'all.
Well, I'm not going to try. I'm not going to try to.
All I'm saying is it's like we just got to switch up the tactic now. We can't rob. We got to send a different color to rob for us.
And
it is stupid because at the end of the day.
Wait a minute. Wait, whoa. Wait a minute. What am I being thrown into here? I'm not going to go rob a bank for you, okay? I'm just not.
I wouldn't want you to.
Okay. Be quiet with her, Kenny. Okay, you know what?
But before we move forward, I do want to go ahead and say, since we were discussing Black Lives Matter, I'm going to go ahead and give the actual definition of the organization versus versus just how we explained it. Okay. So Black Lives Matter is an international activist movement originating in the African American community that campaigns against violence and systematic racism towards Black people. Black Lives Matter regularly holds protests speaking out against police killings of Black people and broader issues such as racial profiling, police brutality, racial inequality in the United States criminal justice system. So that's the actual definition of Black Lives Matter, and it was formed July 13, 2013, 6 years ago, and it's classified as a social movement.
You know, one of the projects I'm going to do this week, one of my homework assignments, is I'm going to start calling some of, because I know there's a Black Lives Matter in Austin, a chapter of it, and I'm going to see if maybe we can get some of their people to be on the show.
That'd be nice.
That would be great. And if there's any of them listening, you know, you can give me a call. I'll give you my phone number near the end of the show, and you can call me and we'll set something up, or call Camille, get a hold of Camille, and you know.
I'm Sweetie C.
I'm Sweetie C, I'm sorry. Sweetie C.
But yes, you can follow us on From an African's Perspective
Brandon
on
is out the door.
Facebook.
All the branding is
And you
gone.
can IM me. I'm also on YouTube. Make sure to check out my YouTube channel,
But,
Sweetie C.
you know, by getting them to come on the air, you know, and come on the show, I think there can be more of an education, more of a perspective, because I still think there's just a real negative, uneducated perspective on the whole Black Lives Matter, you know, organization that I'd like to clear up. So.
Yeah, there's definitely some things thrown out that aren't true about the organization that we definitely should always highlight and reiterate. It's not a rogue organization against, you know, it's just basically what I said. It's just identifying issues that are going on within our community and justly. Okay, so let's talk about the leaked videos from the Navy SEAL.
Oh yes,
Gallagher's.
You know, here's a man, okay, that was even found by our own military standards to be someone who was a war criminal. He committed war crimes. I mean, he loved killing anybody who wasn't white.
Now, who is this?
This is, let me hold on one second here. I kind of threw his notes down. Let me look them back up again here.
Special Operations Chief Eddie Gallagher.
Right.
He's the one that is accused of the toxic and evil behavior.
Very toxic, very evil. Some of the things I've read that he would do as a sniper, as a SEAL sniper. I mean, they were just horrific things that he did to children, and gloried over it. He got excitement out of just killing innocent women and children, and just getting joy out of some of the horrific things that he did. And here's a guy that Donald Trump pardoned.
Yeah, they're saying for Washington, CNN says members of the SEAL Team 7 Alpha Platoon described their platoon leader, retired Special Operations Chief Eddie Gallagher, as toxic and evil, according to the video recordings of the interviews obtained by the New York Times. So you can actually go online and pull up these video recordings and listen to these individuals describe their platoon leader.
One of them, Special Operator First Class Craig Miller, said of Gallagher that the guy is freaking evil. I mean, why would you let this man out of being institutionalized? How can you allow this man to roam free now among American soil? I mean, if he's got this kind of a mindset, if he's this much of a psychopath towards, people that, he was like over there in Afghanistan or in the Middle East trying to defend our country against, what do you think he's really going to end up being like towards just you and me if he were to just see you and me out on the street?
And that's another thing where, again, we say Trump. Who put this guy in Trump's ear? Who came to Trump and said, hey, we need this guy to be pardoned?
Okay.
So Trump didn't make it up himself. So again, this is where it frustrates me. It's not just Trump. It is a systematic. It's so many people involved. It's so many people, money involved.
True.
And they have personal agenda. What is the
True.
personal agenda from this? And I wish people would track these people down. Like why can't you go after these people?
But
Why can't you go after these individuals? Why can't they go after them? Why?
That's a really good question. And it seems that certain individuals are so well protected, whether they be, Secret Service people or CIA. There's certain individuals that just seem to be untouchable as far as being revealed. It's almost like the Wizard of Oz thing, hiding behind a curtain. They're able to hide behind a curtain and not be revealed. I know that sounds a little funny, but I mean, and my gut reaction too on Trump is, my gut, okay, my whole feeling about Donald Trump is that he himself is extremely evil. And when he saw the resume of this Eddie Gallagher, it excited Donald Trump to have someone like this on his side.
Well, someone had to bring it to his attention, and they knew the type of character that Trump has. So is this really something?
But don't you think it was easily brought to Donald Trump's attention? Because, I mean, it was something that he was doing that his military commanders came to him and said, okay, this is what was done. This man has committed horrific actions and war crimes. And so it was the Navy that prosecuted him and had him thrown into jail. That's basically, I think, how Donald Trump found out about this Eddie Gallagher, is through the media and through the military commanders prosecuting him.
But that was how long ago, though?
Oh, I don't know.
I really don't. His first.
It wasn't very long ago. So, because it says here, Gallagher retired from the Navy on November 30th as planned.
That's nothing. Yeah.
So I would have to look that up as to when he was actually convicted of those war crimes. Is that something you can do, Kenny, real quick, or see if maybe we can?
What was that again?
As to when Eddie Gallagher was actually prosecuted and put into jail for his war crimes that he committed.
Give me a second.
As far as, I mean, even I don't give credit. I'm not giving Trump that credit. I'm not giving him credit to figure out to find this person. I feel like somebody put this in his ear, and that's how they knew it'd be controversial. Because if you think about it, they're doing things to cause chaos amongst everyone.
Right.
So they're causing chaos within the Navy SEALs. They're causing chaos within the military.
Right.
Every day,
almost as if Donald Trump has all the say as far as, because I think another thing that came out of the whole Eddie Gallagher situation is that the commander of the Navy SEALs actually I don't know if he resigned or stepped aside.
Yeah, he was offended.
Yeah.
He was mad. He didn't agree with this decision.
Exactly.
And
But this way, Donald Trump's in charge of everything.
well, see, that's the point. He's not in charge of everything, and there are individuals who are putting him in that position as if he is in charge of everything. I think this is another. I think this is another Putin idea.
Okay, I'll go with you on that.
Allegedly, that's what I'm thinking. I think it's another. I think Putin is more aware of American politics and American history and what's going on in America than Trump is.
Oh, very much so. And you know, back when John F. Kennedy was president of the United States, the Russian leader at that time, Gorbachev, came to John F. Kennedy and said, Russia will one day take over American soil without ever firing a single shot.
Well,
That's been Russia's plans for decades.
right, and I feel like the American
Government and political system.
has been aware of it, and they allowed it to continue because, again, it is more. It's a lot of racism within the administration, and like I said, years ago it frustrated me too when they would say like, "Oh, America, racism is almost over." You know, they're like Obama's in office, racism. They're like, no, racism isn't ending; it's ramping up. Like
Right.
it's ramping up.
Right.
And other people don't feel it as much as black people. We feel it. We are the first. We are like the front line.
You bet.
So when it's coming
You
to
bet.
us first. So we're like already we aware of this. Now it's to the point where y'all are where more people are aware of the fact that, you know what, racism is here, and it's already spread.
What I hate though is having people, because I'll talk to them, you know, about this show, and I'll talk to them about how I feel about the injustices and atrocities that have happened with black people for the last 400 years, and I'll have someone go, well, it's never going to end, it's never going to change. I don't believe that. I personally do not believe that there is a no end to racism. I believe with my whole heart that if we fight hard enough and long enough, the racism will come to an end.
I don't. I don't think racism will ever end.
I do.
I just feel that. I feel that in order for
when you go into a war, okay, when you battle somebody, okay, if a soldier goes out, okay, and he has in the back of his head, well, I'm not going to defeat my enemy, but I'm going to, you know, go ahead and shoot bullets at them, or, you know, fight against them, or, you know, use fisticuffs to conquer my enemy, okay? It's almost like you cannot have in the back of your mind any kind of defeatist thought, like, well, I'm never really going to defeat my enemy, but I can battle against it. It's like this whole war on drugs thing that's a total joke, is because it has that defeatist root or defeatist part of it that says, well, it will never completely come to an end. So I can't go into battle like that. I can't go to war thinking I will never defeat my enemy. Wrong.
It's not about defeating. When it comes to racism,
It's an enemy.
it's more of a racism. From what I read or what I was looking into earlier this week, racism wasn't always here. Racism was something that was presented to to division within the black community.
It came here from another nation.
It came,
Right.
yeah. So racism wasn't something that we've always had. So to say that we can't have a pure thought against, to say that we can't have a thought without thinking negative against someone else, it's possible to have positive thoughts. It's possible to look at someone and not think of them as being black or white or whatever.
I think you misunderstood what I was trying to say. What I'm trying to say is there's a thought out there or people out there that says that racism will never completely die. And I totally say that's the wrong attitude to have. I think the attitude that I must have personally is that I am going to continue to raise my voice, raise issues, talk to people about putting racism to death.
I mean, we can, and I understand where you come from. And that's good to have that view. But for me, I don't feel like racism will end. I feel like that in order to control it and to prevent it from becoming an excuse to do other crimes, you need to hold people accountable for their actions.
Right.
Now, that is what we need to do. Until you hold, unless we're not holding anybody accountable for their actions.
We need to make it against the law to hate and do wrong and do harm to someone else. Is it?
Yeah.
So how many white people are going to jail because of that?
I don't have that number, but I'm saying there are hate crimes.
There needs to be solid laws.
There are solid hate crimes, which are federal laws. They're not even state laws. So they're federal crimes. It's almost like robbing a bank. It's state, it's federal. So if a person committed, like what happened with the guy Smollett up in Chicago, that was a hate crime, which it was federally charged. Chicago left, they backed out. They let him free. But then it became a hate crime because what he did wasn't a hate crime. What he did was a state crime, but the people supposedly had beat him up and all this type of stuff. That was hate because they said because he's homosexual. Right. So but there are laws. You're right, there are laws. There are laws, they are solid. But it all depends on the prosecutors.
But they're not very stiff. They're
stiff, but it takes the prosecutor.
Okay, so a woman who says that she was confused in finding her apartment, and she walks in to what she thought was her apartment, and there she finds a black man, standing in there, and she pulls out her gun instead of radiating for help, and she kills this black man, and all she gets is 10 years in prison, probably out.
She'd probably got less if it was considered a hate crime. She'd probably got 5 or 7 years.
And what I'm saying is those laws aren't stiff enough. Those sentences are not stiff enough.
Well, actually, the laws are stiff.
Right.
They're just not enforced.
That's it.
They're stiff because if a black person, if a black cop killed a white cop, I guarantee, even if it's a hate crime, they can find that man in jail for life. They'll find some type of way to lock him up for life, even charging him a hate crime. It's the fact that it's not being enforced. It's the fact that it's saying, okay, well, we're going to allow her to get away with it because
she's white.
It's because she's white, but they're not going to say because she's white. They're not going to say they're protecting their own. They're not going to come out and say those things. They're just going to be like, oh, well, he forgave. And the judge, they're just going to play all these little different, they're just going to put all these things out here why we should not convict this lady for the things she done. And then she was cheating on the man's, she was cheating with the man's wife, on the man's, she was a side heifer.
Right.
Yeah, so.
What do we do to?
We don't, like I said, we can't stop racism. We just need to enforce the laws when it's done, no matter who does it. Period. If you are antagonizing somebody and they're just minding their business, and then you decide to call the police on them, you should be charged for filing a false police report.
Yep.
If you put someone in jail saying that they touched you inappropriately and they just basically walked past you and bumped into you, but you done turned this into a rape conviction, and it turns out to be that it was nothing but him just walking past you, then that man needs to be released and she needs to be convicted.
Yep.
Right.
You need to start convicting people who are lying on other people falsely.
Right.
You need to release people who are in jail falsely. You need to go hard on
our prisons are full of them.
And you need to get these what do you call those, the head of the prisoners, what are they called? You need to get the wardens out for turning these prisons into slaves. Mm-hmm. You need to sue them. Matter of fact, the inmate should have a lawsuit against the warden.
Exactly. And against the state that they're in as far as that prison.
Yes, they should bankrupt them. Now, where's the Kamala Harris at? Where are our legal teams at to address these situations? That's what we're saying. We need the attorneys to come out and enforce them to follow the same laws that you're asking. No, I just threw that in there because we were discussing Kamala Harris. That was not directed to Kamala Harris. It was directed to my engineer, who I was waiting on to come chime in and say something based off of earlier conversation.
Sometimes I look at you.
Sometimes you got to wing them in. He was ready. Kamala, he got you. He got you, Kamala.
So to answer your question, John.
Yeah.
As far as Gallagher, I'm looking at here. It says some stuff about 2018. Doesn't go into a lot of depth, but it started in 2018.
Right.
So.
It is
that was the question you asked me. When did it start?
Yeah, when he was actually convicted and put in prison. He was put in prison.
Right. So the videos came out in 2018.
Okay.
The tapes, and then of course your favorite guy in the White House kind of reversed it.
Right, Donald Trump.
So as a veteran, right? You're a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think? Do you think a lot of veterans are in support of Trump, or do you think a lot of veterans are not in support of Trump?
Wow. I haven't done the numbers on it, but I have to say that more and more, and what's been going on the last few weeks, the last few months with the whole Donald Trump administration, that there are more and more that are going, you know what? I don't support this man, enlisted and veteran. They're saying, I can't support what this man is doing. He's going against the Constitution.
Can you say that as being in the military? Can you openly say that you're not in support of the president?
I am not in support of the president.
No, but you're not.
A lot of people say that. That's okay. I accept that.
No, I'm saying active in the military. Do you think what if do you think a commander would use that against a soldier, if they found out that they're not?
Not with the way some of these commanders are beginning to see what Donald Trump actually is like this Navy SEAL commander that, couldn't support him freeing this Eddie Gallagher guy. Yeah, I think many of the commander-in-chiefs are going, this Donald Trump guy is trying, one, to, what's the word I want to use? Not overcome, but I guess overcome, my command. He wants to step on my toes in order to make a commander's choice. In other words, I am put in a position as a commander of the Navy or a commander of the Army or whatever military branch, and he's overstepping those boundaries, and they're not happy with it. They are not happy with it.
So would you agree that Trump is portraying characteristics
of a dictator?
Dictator.
Oh,
yeah.
You bet. I wanted to say that earlier here.
Totalitarian.
Very
dictator.
Much so.
From the worst kind.
He's Putin's puppet, dictator puppet.
So you agree that you think that he is Putin's puppet?
Oh, big time. And almost like trying to get the American people brainwashed into thinking, well, especially if this man's elected for a second term, it's like brainwashing the American people to thinking, maybe a dictatorship isn't so bad.
All right. One more question before I end the show. Do you think that America will go after, if we can get rid of this Trump out of office, do you think America would take the steps to go after Putin?
No.
Not,
I wanted to say it before you said no.
sorry. Not defensively. They'll pull. See, Putin does not want sanctions against him. That hits his pocket.
Sure, because he has all kinds of money in Trump Towers, Putin does.
But, he doesn't want sanctions because he does rely on the U.S. for certain things with other nations. So the U.S. can block, because of NATO, they can block certain things they can get from maybe Japan or other nations, African nations. That necessarily, I don't know if any of those nations are under NATO or not. I don't know. But so, those NATO nations, they're in Europe, especially Great Britain. they still kind of doing business with them, but U.S. could block that. You know what I'm saying? They have power up at the what's the thing up in New York, where all the nations come together.
World Trade?
The
No.
UN.
The UN.
The UN.
Okay.
U.S. has some real strong power there, and they have an influence. So when Obama started the sanctions, when they heard that he was involved with the president, Trump hated it. Putin hated that. But when
Right.
Trump got in, he released it.
Because
he opened it up. Well, Congress didn't allow him to do it.
Putin and Russia's bottom line agenda is to take over America.
Well, we are at the end of the show, but we're going to have to continue this because I want to get into that. Why won't the United States go after Putin? But for right now, we're going to end right here. So go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. It's Sweetie C, Black and White Allies. I'm Sweetie C.
And I'm John Strader.
John Strader, do you have any words to say before?
Yeah, well, I mentioned earlier that I wanted to give out my phone number, especially for people that are in the Black Lives Matter organization, 214-253-3742. When you call, leave a message, because I don't return calls and I block numbers that don't leave messages. But yeah, I want to start, opening up the show to more discussion about Black Lives Matters and improving things in the Black communities and in the judicial system. The judicial system is a big thing, especially with so many Black males, especially that are in the prison system unfairly. They don't need to be there. They don't belong there.
And I was, in response to that, I was listening to a YouTuber say once before, how you have a white ally who is not willing to get involved within the community. Well, here's a white ally that's willing to get involved within the community. So you just reach out to him,
right.
He respond back.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. It's Sweetie C. You're Sweetie C. Now what? Talk to you later.